Hey there, I'm Brandon, and you know what I hate? My life, so I'm deciding not to live in it. VR technology is the new future, and anyone who disagrees is wrong. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of the game. You see, I've been wearing this thing for so long my eyes have melted, but I'm enjoying my new life. This is gonna be so good. Yeah, so apparently now I'm under house arrest, which is completely unfair, by the way. There was literally no way I could have seen that coming. Okay, so upon doing research for a separate video, I managed to stumble upon something I've never heard of before. This would be a little game titled Pac-Man VR. Jesus! So I decided to look into it a bit more out of curiosity and immediately got invested in its story. So here I am to talk about one of the most interesting things I've seen in a while. I don't get out much. So, what is Pac-Man VR? Well, the name is pretty self-explanatory. Released back in 1996, it was essentially the original Pac-Man arcade game, where you run through a maze collecting dots and avoiding ghosts, but from a first-person perspective so you can experience gluttony in VR. Oh man, going to hell has never felt so real! Now, according to the promotional page for the game, there was apparently a multiplayer mode as described in one of the paragraphs that reads, "Retaining all the original gameplay, Virtuality has enhanced this classic game by networking up to 4 Pac-Man characters together, enabling them to see, talk, and compete with each in the same virtual maze while still trying to outwit the ghosts." So it seems like online multiplayer would have been possible with this game, but no sources or videos exist of this mode actually being played, so we can't really know for sure. Now, when Pac-Man VR first released, it was sold on a CD-ROM, which would be inserted into the disk drive of a machine called the Virtuality, essentially a VR headset created by Virtuality Entertainment and first revealed in 1991. It had multiple versions: the SU unit that consisted of a little pod you'd stand in with a ring around the waist area, 2 giant controllers, and a headset. Then there was the SD unit that had you sit down instead while you controlled with either a joystick or a steering wheel. These units would also have different models as well, series 1000, 2000, and 3000, with the main difference between them being upgrades in hardware. The 2000 and 3000 series, both released in 1994, were the versions that actually played Pac-Man VR, however. The Virtuality first launched for arcades, and was met with confusion, leading it to perform poorly as the concept of VR was very alien at the time, and because of that, many people had no idea what was going on or how to even play this virtual world. To make matters worse, it was $5 for 5 minutes of play, which led to many being unable to figure out what was even going on before the 5 minutes were over. And in the end, the Virtuality would end up going mostly unused because who the fuck would pay 5 bones just to do this in public? This, unfortunately, led all these VR machines to be sent back to their manufacturers along with all the games, including Pac-Man VR. And for a while, not much remained of this game's existence other than some promotional material, until 2008, where footage of actual gameplay was posted onto YouTube. And I want to talk about this video for a bit because I did find some interesting facts through it, and the one who posted it, who goes by the username Devilmaster, seems to know a good bit about the game as well. Now I want to clarify, he did not record this footage himself. The original source for the video can be found on the Arcadian VR website, which was the company that used to own the games for the Virtuality. More on that later. What's really interesting is the fact that some of the people who helped work on the game even commented on this video. Don McIntyre, the graphic artist, Johnny Venn, who composed the music, and Andrew Morris, who made the animations, all gave comments about how they had fond memories helping with the game. Unfortunately, however, not much information is given from them other than a few statements by Don McIntyre, who claims the game was developed by 2 people and first tested in De Montfort University in Leicester with about 200 students. The test ultimately resulted in naturally confused players, which forced the dev team to simplify the controls as many of the kids just couldn't figure it out. Losers. Now all this is really cool to know, but I didn't feel like it was enough, so I got in contact with Devilmaster since it seemed like he knew a lot about Pac-Man VR and asked him if he knew any interesting facts about the game. And lo and behold, he never got back with me. At least I know it's not just females. Well, at least we have a video of actual gameplay footage despite the shitty quality. In the video, we start out with a little cutscene of Pac-Man playing the original arcade game before switching over to the Virtuality to play Pac-Man VR. After this, the gameplay starts, and it looks pretty much as you'd expect. It's Pac-Man with a third axis. Also, as you collect dots, a meter will slowly fill up, and when all the way full, will extend your time limit. That's about it. That's all the information we get. It's just very identical to the source material. And might I just say, I love how 90s this all looks. Like, of course, obviously it was made in the 90s, no shit. But the very old style of those consoles, like the PS1 and N64, have always stuck out to me. I don't know, I just like it a lot. I really wish there was more I could say about this game though, but honestly, it's just not much to look at. It doesn't really go that deep either. It's not like there's some big debate or conspiracy over Pac-Man VR. However, it does get me thinking on if there will ever be a future for this game. Okay, so it's no surprise the Virtuality machines failed. It was the 1990s, technology and understanding of video games were still in its beginning stages. Reminder that this was around the same time as the PS1 and GameCube. Hell, the first version of the VR set was revealed the same year Sonic 1 released on the Genesis. It is really not a stretch to say that the world just wasn't ready for virtual reality at the time. But now we are in a new age of video games. They're way more common in our life than they used to be, and we actually have VR technology that almost anyone can pick up and play. It would really be a shame to let this bizarre forgotten game continue to stay that way. A remake or just a new version on modern platforms would be amazing. I personally think an official first-person Pac-Man game would be fun as hell and well overdue. I know they've dabbled with the concept before, just make it happen, come on. Well, I should mention that all hope isn't completely lost for Pac-Man VR, because a ROM and all the files of the game's assets still exist on the internet. However, the only problem that keeps the game from being playable is that it's missing the Virtuality's graphic processing unit, aka, we don't have an emulator. Which sucks, but at least we still get some higher quality images of these sprites. Also, this is one of the texture files. If anyone wants to explain it, please do. And we can see that a lot of the 3D objects in the game aren't actually three-dimensional, like the ghosts, fruits, and even Pac-Man himself. It's just a 2D image that's programmed to always face the camera as the facial features move around the image. This is actually the same trick used in Super Mario 64 to make the Bob-ombs look three-dimensional. Now, other than the files, the last piece of information I could find about any potential hope for a re-release of this game is a website called Virtuality Tech, which, according to them, bought the exclusive rights to the Virtuality consoles and games back in 2017. And from what I could gather, they seem to do rentals of those same products, or at least used to. It's hard to tell how active this site actually is anymore. But the reason I even bring them up in the first place is because they claim to be porting these older games only playable on the Virtuality to modern VR consoles, which would include Pac-Man VR. Now, again, I have no idea how factual this statement actually is, considering I have no clue if they're even still active, or if progress on these ports are even continuing. But hey, it's something to give people hope at least.
Like that goes anywhere.
Pac-Man VR is one of the strangest bits of video game history I have ever seen. It was made for an obscure console in arcades, only to be discontinued not long after, and because of that, everyone just collectively forgot it existed. And as for myself, I had no idea this game was even a thing until I just so happened to stumble upon it while looking through Pac-Man's game lineup for a separate video. This title's just so fucking weird, man. There's plenty of questions still left unanswered, like how did the idea for VR Pac-Man even start? Was multiplayer ever actually a thing, and why does nobody ever talk about this game? Unfortunately, we'll most likely never really find these answers, and unless we get a port or remake sometime in the future, this seems to be where Pac-Man VR's story ends.
You know what? I think I get it. I think I understand that life is not something that should be taken for granted. It's something that should be cherished. This VR headset has made me blind to that. Literally. I think it's time I give life another chance.